CDOT will host 3 community meetings next week to discuss the North Denver I-70 plan. Unite North Metro Denver, a neighborhood group against the current proposal, supports a rerouting of the highway into Commerce City. However, we haven't seen much support of that from CDOT or state government. Penn, this is going to be a big, fat, hairy deal for the city of Denver. We're talking about the I-70 corridor in between what us natives would call the mousetrap all the way out to I-225. Is CDOT, when you see these community meetings, are their ears really open, or is this lip service?
Well, I think that's part of the issue the United North Denver neighbors have raised is, it's one thing to make a decision based on all of the information and listening to what people are saying, but their whole point is we can't get the governor, we can't get CDOT, we can't get the mayor, we can't get city council to even sit down in a room and talk with us about our concerns or our perspective. And in fact, we'll remember last year, I think it was September, October, city council approved a contract to finance part of the sewer system and wastewater and drainage system work for the project, and the project hasn't even been finalized and gotten its final US DOT certification and approval yet. So the neighborhood is saying this looks like a fait accompli, but what they're also saying is if you really want to redevelop the National Western, you need space. If you really want to benefit the neighborhoods, you need space. The most logical thing to do is simply reroute around Swansea, Elyria, and Globeville, take down the viaduct, and restore the original neighborhood grid. We've talked before about the political shenanigans that led to the original layout of I-70. That's history now, but I don't quite understand why and I think some people feel it's a charade of these public hearings when you know what the sentiment of many folks in the community is, but it looks like they're just being ignored. I'm going to attend the one in Denver. I'm just fascinated. And I attended some of the very, very early EIS to I-70 East meetings a few years ago. But it'll be interesting to see what the rationale is that's stated for the current plan to burrow underground and put a cover on a little part of I-70 and blow it open rather than move around the neighborhoods.
Mike, for the folks that live around that area, do you think those folks want to see more options, at least on the table? It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of proposals that here's what it's going to be. Do you like it now or do you like it later? It doesn't sound like there's a lot of options. Do you want to see more options?
I think so. I think that's a reasonable request. I think the residents there deserve that. One of the things I hope happens throughout this community process is obviously people show up at these community meetings, but also we have a broader discussion about other alternatives that people are already using. I live out on the east side in Stapleton, and I avoid I-70 now. I probably will avoid it even if it's improved, but because of this, and many people of the same line of thinking, MLK has become the thoroughfare of choice, and it's already pretty gridlocked if you try and commute in anytime after 7:30 in the morning. So here's hoping the city puts forward not only multiple plans, but also many alternative routes and pays attention to improving and widening those routes.
Patty, it's a state issue. I mean, we have CDOT because it's an interstate highway, but it's impacting, a tremendous impact on the city of Denver. Should there be more voices from Denver at the table?
Well, we've certainly heard some of them. I mean, Dennis Gallagher, this was one of the last issues he really took on when he was in the office. And the council vote that Penn was referring to was actually right before the new council members took office in July. So it was basically a rubber stamp by the city on this project that by paying for this wastewater plan was saying we basically approve what's going to happen with this new route without letting any of the new council members vote on it. Debbie Ortega has asked for 30 more days from CDOT because technically we're in the middle of a 30-day period, and that's the end of the next week's hearings are going to be kind of the end of the public input. I haven't heard if she's gotten an extension of 30 days, but it's a big issue. The one thing that always nags at me is when they show these pretty pictures of what happens if I-70's gone, and we have to think about, does Commerce City want the highway going through? When you look at these beautiful pictures, you're going to reunite the neighborhoods. Oh, we see how neighborhoods are faring so well in Denver right now with the little old residents. Those houses are getting wiped off the map, and there's no reason to think it wouldn't happen here too when all of a sudden a whole new area is opened up for development.
I'm surprised all those pretty pictures don't have a little Starbucks and a TJ Friday sign on.
Oh, they do.
David, wrap it up for us.
One thing that ought to be part of the plan, and was maybe according to the Denver Post, is pay for additional lanes by making them, as we did on US 36 and also the I-70 eastbound, making them optional toll lanes. So when you're really in a rush and you got to get to daycare to pick up your kid and you don't have the option to use anything other than I-70, you can choose to pay the toll, and if you don't want to pay the toll, then you can stay in the regular lanes. So they're a self-financing expansion, and that's a great way. The people who use the highways should be the ones who pay for the highways, and that's a really CDOT's done a solid job on both of those projects.